Look at the pretty little flower. Of course, now, Dingo, now. Yeah, good job. Well, so welcome back to the Lost Begotten channel. I know I've been on Easy Reefers for a while, but earlier today on Easy Reefers, I posted a video about a theory. And let's just call it the Morris model. And what it proposes is a non-particulate solution to Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, to Schrodinger's equation, to the whole quantum rubber band effect. What's it called again? But the thing is, while it would be typical of me to, or maybe expected of me, to come up with some sort of aloof, lofty type explanation for what subatomic particles do. My dad, who is a mathematician, already agrees that this is the most concise and possibly the best expression of how matter works at the atomic and subatomic level. Now, I invite you to go check out my dissertation on the Easy Reefers channel. It was brief, relatively brief, no pun intended. So basically, the big problem in physics is uniting quantum mechanics with general relativity. And that's because of the seemingly random and, for lack of a better word, instantaneous nature of quantum mechanics. Well, this fixes all that. It even causes a simple computational type function, whether it be based directly on the interaction of waveforms or based on the resonance thereof, for the magnetic field properties of the electron cloud, if you will. I'd like to refer to electrons not as particles or waves. Well, waves. But when you want to refer to, like, the molecular cloud, it's more like a membrane. And I don't know if some aspects of this theory have been speculated before, but I've been really trying to research and see if anybody's come up with this before, see if there's any problems with it. And I find myself just going through all the different, history of quantum mechanics and that kind of stuff. And it seems like we've been stuck on the particle. because of this one last little piece of the puzzle they were missing. And, my brain kind of works like an AutoCAD computer, and I can graph things out in my head a hell of a lot better than I can express things mathematically. Um, I was, for some reason, not allowed to take high school physics. If they would have let me, I would have fucking thought of this shit 20 years ago. But, yeah, oh well. They were weirdly occultic in New Orleans, and I thought that might have had something to do with it because I had a hell of a reputation for having vast psychic powers. What's a white girl gonna do? Uh, yeah, me. Not a white girl. The guy with the fucking weird magic powers. But anyways, that's why one would hypothesize that I would come up with some weird explanation for subatomic particles. But actually, this is all just beautiful, not simple, but symmetrical, beautiful math. Now, on the Easy Reefers channel, and again, if you want to quickly know the details of the theory itself, go check out that video right quick and then come back and hear me philosophize about it. Philosophize. Yeah. Insert word. Move on. Well, so there's this prophecy. And the elements, even the very elements, shall attest to his glory, or something like that. One of them. To his flatulence. His almighty flatulence. No. Pun intended. It looks like a vibrating asshole. How about that? Yes, the universe is made of vibrating assholes. Just sphincters everywhere, just shitting on everything. No. Maybe I shouldn't have used the pink marker. Oh, is the blue like blood vessels? Oh, I gotta stop looking at that now. Anyways. So what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the Bible. Okay, hold on a second. Okay. Oh god, that made my head throw. So I'm dealing with a migraine. I just woke up. I'm having coffee, and I had a wonderful, wonderful, crazy fucking dream. But I'll talk about that in a second. Um, Kind of a hilarious, ironic. Well, not really ironic, just coinciding dream. But anyways, so back to the Bible, prophecy and whatnot. Ah, I had some good coffee. Well, for years, I have been of the opinion that particle physics, the current interpretation of quantum mechanics, that is, um, very much attests to the name, to the glory of God, to the plan. It's basically my postulate was as follows: if the smallest form of an individual element and the nature of its existence, the way it is structured, sets up a diagram of sorts for a metaphorical chart about the spiritual and meaningful nature of the universe, then we have basically an atomic indication, if not proof, of God's existence and intention through said metaphor. Now, the reason why I used to think this is because of the Bohr model. Okay, you have your freaking, let's just do, well, let me redo that. I'll just put the fucking thing right here. You know, you have your outer electrons, your inner electrons, and you have your nucleus, right? But the thing is, the atomic mass of electrons does not equate to significant numbers, while the atomic mass of protons does. So this exists and this doesn't exist, basically, in a matter of speaking. Order, chaos. So, you know, pretty clear cut. If you're chaotic, you don't really exist. If you're just going with the whims and letting your hormones and shit control you. Sorry, I had to plug in my charger dongle. But anyways, while the Bohr model is disproven by quantum mechanics, if the current understanding was still correct, this metaphorical analogy would still be correct. But although I am not convinced of my present theory, I see enough value in it to present it, obviously. And let me just say that if my theory is correct, this is no longer of any substance. This is just shit we made up because we were in love with our solar system and we wanted to see a little tiny solar system inside the big solar system. Isn't that adorable? But anyways, so for the past several weeks, I've been contemplating quantum mechanics. Not for the reasons of fulfilling this prophecy, but for the reasons of trying to understand how to make resonance into a form of thrust. Because I want to build a spaceship. Nothing wrong with that. Everybody got to build a spaceship from time to time. Well, I'm not going to build it. I'm just going to like tell people, and hopefully they'll figure it out. But then yesterday or this morning or like 3 o'clock in the morning last night, I don't know when the hell it was. I started thinking about that prophecy. You know, I'm thinking about that shit. I think about who I am. Think about what I'm supposed to be doing, what I'm supposed to be if I'm me, and that blah blah blah. Well, I'm already working on quantum mechanics. If I was to come out with some sort of breakthrough in quantum mechanics, that would certainly meet the needs of that prophecy in a better way than I had hoped. Let me therefore see if my spiritual insight can lead me to a more direct, tangible, possibly even hopefully even mathematically beautiful solution. Because I mean, while I talk about how solving the universe via hypotheticals and equations and, you know, basically wanting everything to be into a plugged in variable before you've effectively observed enough things to, you know, come up with an equation. You know, there's speculative equations that can predetermine outcomes and can wind up being perfectly accurate because they're based on observed cause and effect. You know, like if I roll a ball that weighs this much, you know, it's going to go this far. If I, therefore, of course, it's going to go that much further. You know, there's more complicated versions of that, but you know what I'm saying. Well, I don't have a problem with math. I don't have a problem with using math to describe and express scientific concepts, obviously. And I think I may have been mistaken for somebody who does, because I don't like math being misused to ascribe certainty where there is none. Okay? Math is the basis of hypotheses. And math, once those hypotheses are tested, can be relied upon to make projections, calculations. You know, shit you need to do to get work done. Well, two things I think occurred to me that led me to this, one of which relates to what I've talked about before about the nature of reality, and the other provides the last piece of the equation that winds up, I think it's missing from Schrodinger's equation, that actually ascribes, instead of the function of the energy as a wave, how it winds up, or perceivably winds up as a particle. Um, Now, the thing is, in spiritual fractal reality, you don't see a face in the trees or a face in the clouds because a spiritual being used its power to shape the clouds or to move the tree branches in that way. Okay? The spiritual being is in that shape because, from your perspective, it has a conduit to be in that shape. So you're seeing a fractal of reality. So it's not really there. Your perception is somewhere else. Now, that all sounds very fancy and philosophical. So, surprisingly enough, it led me to a very simple solution when it comes to quantum expectation. And I hate to say it, but this is something that I hoped wouldn't have to be. Because its implications are quite staggering. Essentially, it means I have no choice but to be king. I very much prefer democracy. But that's a little hard to explain. Back to the actual problem here. So, we think of, currently, science thinks of light as a wave that resolves into a particle, basically. So it basically expands and then is perceived. All right? What if the wave is simply resonant? And where it is perceived is the ground. So when you look at something or when something is photographed, you're actually causing an electrical arc. It's not that a particle of a photon is firing towards you. It's that a membrane of energy expansion finds a grounding point where you perceive it. And you perceive it because it found its grounding point. The molecular resonance, because I'm very, very old apparently, the light emitted, say from something charged by a photon, is a result of that energy at the right frequency, because, you know, not just any material works. Did somebody stop watching this right now? Like, it just boggles my mind. I've got a lot of very smart people already going batshit over this, and they're probably smarter than you. So, listen, stay. This is some serious shit. So, if you want to picture radioactive decay, for instance. This is not quite the illustration that I need. It just has like the amount of resonance that I want you to get going in your mind. Okay. This, just a sidetrack for instance, for a second, this is actually a theory of why we might, if the Earth is round, okay, actually if the Earth is round or flat, see a lot more stars than there actually are. A lot more. So what would happen is the photovoltaic energy that makes it to Earth wouldn't make it to Earth directly. It would find resonance points. And then you would have basically what appeared like additional, smaller, possibly even mixed images of stars at those resonance points. So yeah, I broke astrophysics too, sorry. Not that I haven't broken astrophysics enough already. But anyways, if you have an ever-increasing, and by the way, these aren't set in stone. These are just me trying to figure it out with my fucking pencil and paper here. I have attempts at illustrating oxygen, hydrogen, helium, lithium, and beryllium. I can't read that. I had to remember it by the numbers. But it actually says that. Kind of, you know, in my excuse for handwriting. So anyway, hydrosex, and helenum. Hydrosex and helenum. And what is that one? That's Lithniniv. I don't know. My handwriting sucks is what I'm trying to say. Not that I really care. I can write neat and pretty if I want to. It just hurts my fucking hand. Okay. So this solves, not to, before I get into radiation and half-lives, quantum mechanics really shits on molecular cohesion. This resolves that, because you can see how, say, O2 would form here with absolute just ease. This three-dimensional spherical resonance would essentially form points very pyramid-like, not perceivably, but of energy. It would look like a sphere in all detectable means, but it would act like a pyramid, like an oxygen molecule does. Atom, excuse me. It is now an oxygen molecule. Now, radioactivity. Comes from when the internal resonance, due to complexity or primehood or lack of geometric symmetry, causes a distinct resonant wake that should be predictable based upon pure mathematical function. I'm going to have to like really get back into math to be able to actually do all that stuff myself. I'd be more than happy to share credit with someone who wants to come and help me translate and rewrite Schrodinger's equations, as well as a secondary breakdown to E equals mc squared, as well as special relativity. Actually, kind of. No, never mind about special. It just eliminates the need for special relativity. It just shows that special relativity is just plain old relativity. Okay, I have to go. There are people here. I will continue this later.